Okay, so today I want to address something that is so important because if you get this wrong, you're going to completely destroy your music career. And sometimes with young people, it's going to be destroyed before it's even begun. I'm talking about hearing loss. You already know that it's so easy to damage your hearing. If you're going out to clubs night after night, you may suffer a little bit of temporary hearing loss or a hearing damage, let's say. But if that's an ongoing basis, then you're going to have permanent ear damage. And whether you're a musician or a producer, that can signify the end of your career even before it's begun. Now, obviously, we can get those scrunchy foam earplugs that you put in, and it just makes everything sound like that. And it's totally unenjoyable going to a gig listening to muffled music. You've all seen artists, whether you own a set of these yourself or not. These days we tend to have molded earplugs where they take an impression of your ear canal and make your own bespoke molds. These are actually in-ear monitors, so they've got speakers in there. What you might not know is you can also get molded plugs that have filters in them that merely keep the frequency spectrum as straight as it can possibly be, but merely turn the volume down. And that's done by way of having these special round filters that go in, and they are interchangeable. So you get your molded plugs, put them in, and it can pull the volume down. And this is great, especially if you're in a rehearsal room. I'm finding at the moment, I'm teaching at university and I'm teaching at college, and I'm in loud environments, whether that's in the studio or rehearsal studios, and I'm going in and out, and I've really got to get this sorted. So I did have a set of these molded earplugs, but I lost one of them on the road. In fact, now I've lost the second one as well. So this week I've just had to deal with this. And I've been thinking about, because I've got my impressions already made of my ear canal, so that's an expense I don't have to pay for again. To do that, if you're interested, you need to get in touch with an audiologist who will take an impression of your molds. And that's probably going to cost you around £100, £150, whatever it is they charge. And then you've got to get the earplugs made. Well, because they've already got my impressions, as they're known as, I wouldn't have to pay for the audiologist. But that said, even to have these earplugs with a choice of one type of filter, it would cost me about £160. Now, talking about that, the filters come in different flavors. So you might get -7 dB, -10 dB, -15 dB. You could get -20, you can get -30 dB. Again, so that you're hearing all the frequencies as they should be, or near as damn it, but it's just like attenuating the loudness to protect your hearing. Well, I was doing a bit of a search on getting these molded plugs done, and I came across another company. It's called Minuendo. And this, I believe, is a Norwegian company. Yes, they are. And they make, now they're not bespoke molds. These are more generic. But I decided to go for these because they've got variable attenuation. So on the molded options, if I want to try some different filters, it's going to cost me about 90 quid. So if I, let's say, just wanted to shave a little bit off 10 dB, that's great. I order my 10 dB molds and it cost me £160. If I then decide I'm going into a really loud environment and I want some -25s, let's say, it's going to cost me another 100 quid. So I was quite interested to come across this company that have got variable. So I believe it goes from -7 down to -25, I believe. If I've got that wrong, I'll put a little note on the video. 7 to 25, yeah. There's no batteries in there or anything like that. It's completely passive. So but there was just some certain aspects about this that really appealed to me. So this is the sealed box. I'm now going to open them because I want to give you my impressions of how well these work as I'm listening to it. So what I propose to do, I'm going to put these in and I'm going to really blare some music really, really loud out of those focal monitors. And I'm going to let you know my thoughts. So stick with me and let me just get some. What I'm going to do, first of all, is I'm going to find the right size tips to go on the end of them. So much like the earbuds you might buy from Sennheiser or Bose or whoever, there's different sizes of tips to go on here. Let's have a little look. I'm not sure which bit is which. That's just a little carry case, so we'll have a look at that afterwards. Okay, so these are the different types of tips. Lots of different types available. Let me just put that up there. So you've got those three-pronged ones, and you've got the sort of wide tip ones. They look very much like the Sennheiser ones. I don't really know what the difference is going to be with these, but I'm going to find the right ones for me. I'm going to put them in, and then I'm going to blast some music. I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Okay, so I've got my little earplugs out. I've picked some tips that fit my ear canal very nicely. So just have a little look at that. You can see, it's getting a bit blurred, I think. On top, you've got this little lever, and that's the thing. In the open position, it's -7 dB, and in the closed position, it's -25 dB. Now, I have to say, when I was trying these out, the different tips to see which would fit better, I put them in, and I had a little play. I know I wanted to do this on camera, but I had a little play, and I thought, oh my God, it's not making any difference at all. But then I think it was just when I was talking to myself and like, can I notice a difference? I think I was hearing the sound mainly from the bones in my skull, like internally. So that really worried me. I thought, oh, maybe these are not all they're cracked up to be. So I've got Peter Gabriel at the ready on Apple Music. I don't care what anyone says, it is one of the greatest recorded pieces of music of all time. It's just perfection in instrumentation, songwriting and mixing. It's my go-to reference track for most of the things I do here in the studio. And I'm going to absolutely blast it through the focals. You can see I've put the little neck leash on. And this is something I really like. This is a tiny little thing, but it makes a big difference. My old molded plugs had a leash like this. Number one, they broke. They just snapped off very, very quickly. But also, I found a couple of times if I was at a big festival, they could easily just fall off and I wouldn't notice. And with all the technicians going around with their big steel toe cap boots, it'd be very easy to get them squashed. But one nice little thing that Minuendo have done is they've made these magnetic so that when you've got them on your little necklace thing here, they close together and they're less likely to fall off. Just a little attention to detail that, but it's very, very cool. I love that. You put these in, okay, and instantly they feel very comfortable. I think I could wear those for hours. Obviously, I'm very new to this. I'll let you know in any updated comments whether I find different, but I think they're incredibly comfortable. I'm tempted to say actually they're even more comfortable than the molds. Sometimes the molds, because they go quite far into your ear canal, can feel a little bit uncomfortable. It's okay when you're doing a gig and you've got the adrenaline of the gig and you forget that they're there, but I think if I was wearing these for sort of 8 hours a day, if I was working in a factory or something, I think I could happily do that. And because I'm hearing all the frequencies of my voice, and it's not got that muffled effect that the foam scrunchy ones have, you kind of, after a while, I think would forget that you've actually got them in. So anyway, let me take this out. I'm going to see how loud Peter is. Oh my God. Honestly, that is that is painfully loud. So I'm going to put these in first because that's so loud. I don't want my ears shutting down before I have a chance to figure out what's going on with these hearing protectors. So in they go. That was blisteringly loud. I'm worried that I'm going to blow my monitors. Quite loud. Not painful. Okay, so that is a really quick demo. What you're seeing on camera is as far as I've got. Yeah, it makes a difference. So even at the -7, it's no longer painful. It was painful without the plugs in. And that would definitely damage my hearing if I was like listening to that for a couple of hours. I would really be having even temporary hearing loss, if not doing something a little bit worse. That was blisteringly loud. Even at the -7 level, it was okay. It was no longer painful. It was still loud, but no longer painful. Then I flipped the levers into -25. I've got to say, I would have expected more of an attenuation. It didn't seem like there was a huge, massive, there was a big difference, don't get me wrong, between -7 and -25, but it wasn't a massive difference that I was expecting. But that said, at the -25 setting, yeah, I could be in this room for 10 hours and I know that my hearing would be protected instantly. One thing that I would quite like to see is the little slider that you move between the -7 and the -25 setting. I'll try and get this to the camera without it blurring. I kind of like to see it stepped in the middle at least, so that it can go halfway between those settings, because it's constantly variable and it's not stepped or anything like that. You just kind of got to balance it out. But that's a small little comment. And I'm sure as Minuendo, I've never heard of this company before. I'm sure in the next iteration, maybe they'll do something like a stepped lever. I think that would be a good addition. But it's a small point. I think for most situations, that difference between the -7 and the -25, it is enough to significantly protect your hearing. But don't expect the volume to suddenly get really, really quiet. It's not getting whisper quiet like that. But I'm keeping these. At first, like I said, when I put them in, I was really worried, like, oh my God, is this all they're cracked up to be? But they are. I know that these will get used every week when I'm teaching at university and college, definitely. I'm not in rehearsal studios that much these days, and if I am, I'm normally wearing in-ear monitors, but these are going to get used a lot. I don't go to clubs, but if you do, you need a set of these. You only get one set of ears, and if you fuck them, your career is finished. If you are a clubber, you need a set of these. If you work in a factory as well, you definitely need a set of these. If you're in any loud environment at all, you need a set of these. In some ways, there's things about these I much prefer to the in-ear molded expensive ones that I had. And I think one of the biggest things, like I say, is if I want to change the filters, you know, the same thing as doing this lever, but taking out filters and putting new ones in, the proper molded ones, I'm going to have to carry around a whole load of them, and they're like 100 quid a pop just for the filters before you got the molds. So that little magnetic thing, it's such a little thing, and I know it might just seem such a tiny thing, but I love the fact that you can do that. Any technicians that work in the business, you need a set of these. You get one set of ears. We spend so much money on the flashy microphones and the flashy racks and monitors and all the rest of it, guitars in my case. Very rarely do we get the boring stuff. But my God, this is so important. If you are an industry professional, for the sake of like £130 or whatever they were, 140, whatever, you need a set of these. I'm really, really pleased with them. If I change my mind, I'll put something in the comments. But yeah, these are keepers. Thanks a lot, Minuendo. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you got something out of it. I'm not being paid by Minuendo. I'm not being sponsored. I bought these out of my own money, and I'm happy that I did. Thanks for watching, and see you on the next one.